Let me know when. Good. Welcome to the Mamba Edition Talk Your Shit Sport Podcast. I'm here, your host, Highlight Real P, and my co-host, the greatest, Dave. Let's talk to him, man.
What's poppin', y'all? We are back for another special night, back to back. But this is a special night. This is a Kobe tribute, so you know we had to lock in.
Yeah, this is right up your lane, man. This is right up your lane. So we had. It was only right. It was only right. It was only right, man. But we definitely had to pay tribute to the GOAT. We was definitely having a conversation yesterday about Kobe. No, not even Kobe. We was talking about LeBron and MJ. I don't even get into that. I hate getting into that conversation because they don't mention that guy. Like, you can't skip over Kobe Bryant and just jump into LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you can't have that conversation, that GOAT conversation, if you're not including that man. And you know me, DB, I'm not a Kobe fan. I was an AI fan during that whole era. But, you know, we'll get into that, you know, that 04 final. 2001 finals later on. But, yeah, man, like, I don't like that conversation. But this is your floor, DB. This is your platform. So you can talk your shit about your guy.
So yeah, man, like, well, for me, I don't skip over him as in terms of the conversation. For me, it's always been, you know, Michael and the Bean. I've recently, over the last 5 years, become a LeBron fan because his greatness is just, it's just on the screen. It's eye popping. But for me, growing up, you know, I was born in '89. So when Jordan won his last championship, was that '98? I was 9 years old. So I got to see glimpses of him, highlights and glimpses of him. But when I became of age and started to become a real basketball fan and actually started playing the game and I got good at the game around like 10, 11, 12, going into my teen years. Now I'm at the court every day. And I'm watching every night on ESPN. I'm watching highlights of Kobe. You know what I mean? I'm watching LA Laker games on Sunday afternoons, you know, prime time, of course, because you know what? They have Shaq. They got the Diesel.
Right.
They put together, a Hall of Fame team when they had, Gary Payton, Derek Fisher, Karl Malone, Devin George. So they had like when they put that team together, and you know, I was watching them all the time. And then, as you mentioned, in 2001, when they, you know, when AI and the Sixers came, you know, out of the Eastern Conference, you know, and they lost 4-1 to to Kobe and them. It was just
he was
at his peak.
It was cooking at
5 years in. 5 years in, he was at his peak. Shaq was 5 years with the team as well, and Shaq was in his prime too. So like, you know, he was almost 10 years in the league. I mean, he had just got there, got his big payday, you know, and they were hungry for their first championship, and it was just a match made in heaven. But to watch him like morph into that all-star by his second season in '97, going into '98, he came off the bench. You heard the stories about him in practice, just going at the vets and like him not getting any playing time. You know, a lot of people thought he was arrogant. They was asking him all the questions about like, you know, like what he thought of the vets. He just gave him the God honest truth. He was like, "Yo, these vets are garbage. Like their work ethic is trash. Like, you know, they don't want to be champions." And people looked at him the wrong way. It was like, "Yo, how is this young man, 19, 20 years old, telling us that?" He was playing with Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, Vlade Divac. So he's playing with some really good vets, but he was just on a different level coming in. He wanted to compete, and he carried that throughout his 20 years, and he changed generations of ball players. It's wild, yo. It really is.
And you just named some guys, some dogs. Eddie Jones at the time was a dog. Mm-hmm. Nick Van Exel, the lefty, was a dog. Mm-hmm. But the greatness of Kobe shipped him out. You know what I mean? Because they needed you know, playing time. Mm-hmm. I mean, because Eddie George, you know, they
was an all-star. Eddie was
all-star. An all-star. Nick Van Exel, an all-star. But there was like this 19-year-old, he was cooking. He was cooking. But like you said, going into that second year after the air ball in Utah, that man, he came back different.
Yeah.
Came back different. He came back with a killer instinct. And by 98, because I remember watching that, because that's my all-time favorite All-Star game. Because you had, MJ was on his way out. You had the Young Bucks, starting to come up. The KGs, the Kobe's, Allen Houston, a whole bunch of young cats was, on that All-Star team, and also vets. But everybody was talking about that guy, number 8, with the little fro. And he went out there and he did not back down. And it's dope that MJ was able to add that into The Last Dance and have that, that conversation with Kobe, having that conversation with Kobe and letting him know, like, yo, let's work out. MJ doesn't do that with everybody, but I'm assuming that MJ seen the greatness in him, and I like when Kobe said in that documentary, he was like, don't compare me to, like, there won't be me if there's no MJ. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's like you cannot, go straight to LeBron and not talk about number 8/24.
You can't.
I mean, his killer instinct is just unmatched, man. Like,
to me, it was the fact that, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the blueprint was Mike. That was his favorite player, and that's what he modeled his game after because that was his vision of greatness.
Right.
So when you see something that someone else is doing that's successful, you take bits and pieces to it and add it to yours, and you keep pushing. And that's what he did. Because I feel like as though, a lot of young players need, like, this is why, having a vet, vets on your team are so important, to show you the ropes, to show you to show you, hey, this is what you can do to get better. It's just like when anyone comes into a job, you need someone who's been there a little while to show you, like, hey, this is where this goes, this is how this goes, this is where we go to lunch, this is where the tutorials are if you need it, blah blah blah. And given that he already had this high basketball IQ and this dogged confidence to go out there and hoop and put up shots, because the man will put up a shot.
He didn't see a shot that he didn't like.
Oh, he was fearless. He was fearless. The guy knew that a part of this game is putting up shots. And if you're on a good team, you have other good players, cool, yeah, you can pass, you can work the system. But if they're not hitting shots, you're a professional. You're there to win. Why? Right. Coach said yesterday, why would I pass you the ball? You know what I mean? Give me the ball, get out my way.
Get out my way.
Get out my way. And after they won that championship in 2003, it was sad to see the breakup. It was sad to see Shaq and Kobe break up. But as we see now, it had to happen. Right. The question is whether they could have won more championships. Who knows? And you can also ask the same question with Michael. Who knows if he would have stayed in Chicago after '98, whether he won another championship. But 7 years later, in 2010, in 2008, they got 5 years later, they got back to the championship in 2008, but they lost. They lost to the Celtics. 2 years later, 2010, they get back, they demolish Orlando. They win the championship. Then they go back in 2011. So he got his 4th without Shaq. Boom, because Shaq had already got his in 2006 with D Wade.
Right. In Miami.
So Shaq had 4, Kobe had 3. Fast forward, 2008, he loses the Celtics. Boom, 2 years later, all right, it's game time. I'm ready. He waxes Dwight and Jameer Nelson and Perkaloo and Rashard Lewis, waxes them. With Pau Gasol in the crew and Will and Andrew Bynum and Derek Fisher. So like he got his revenge back. So now he's matched up 4 for 4. Now him and Shaq got the Wendy's. Following year, 2011, they run it back. He get his 5th. And And that was 2011. That was the that's when I was in college, man. I had just graduated. I had just graduated, dude. Like that was just amazing to see. Because at that time he had I definitely want to mention this. So his first 10 years in the league, for I'm saying for folks that don't know, he wore the number 8 jersey.
Right.
First 10 years from 96 to 2006. From 2006 up until he retired, he wore 24. And that was for many reasons. I can get into it. But my point is that maturation. It took a lot. He had to mature into that number one option, and he had to understand how to win as a number one option. And then he had to grow his game because he knew he needed others in order to win. So that maturation process was just amazing to see. And the man just has an unmatched NBA career, in terms of records. And we can go through it, P. But you tell me, man, like, once he got his 4th and 5th ring, where is he in the conversation for you in terms of greatest of all time?
Greatest of all time? He was number 2. He was number 2. And I didn't, like I said at the beginning of the show, I wasn't a Kobe fan. I grew up an AI fan, a Tracy McGrady fan, but I always respected Kobe. And I knew he was a GOAT. Like he was, I guess, not even I guess, he was our era MJ. Like his dominance was just unmatched. His will to win was unmatched. Like you can tell the difference. I could tell the difference between him and AI. I mean, and we heard AI say it numerous times. When he was out in LA, he was like, yo, Kobe, he got up with Kobe. He's telling Kobe to go to the club. Kobe's like, nah, I'm going to the gym. But that's the difference between a superstar and a regular all-star. And don't get me wrong, AI is a Hall of Famer, but you got to, if you want to, I mean, let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
Because AI was a superstar, but Kobe's a GOAT. There's a difference between GOAT and superstar. There's only a few that can walk in that room, and then that was Bean.
Yeah, man. I would love. Oh, man. I was really hoping that he can get his 6, man. But that Lego organization during that time with the once the Dr. Bus had passed away and he gave the ownership to his son. His son was just trash, bro.
Yeah, he was terrible.
Wasted the last little bit quarter tank of prime Kobe. Wasted it, man. I'm just like, come on, man. Like, we got a 6th ring to go get, and we could have, man. Like, Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, they got hurt. David Stern hated and nixed the trade with Chris Paul. Like there was just, there were players that wanted to come and win and play with him, man. Like you had, Matt Bonds, a defensive stout. So like there were different guys, Lamar Odoms. I mean, there were guys that were championship caliber players. But it was always just a poor constructed roster.
Right.
And what they did, in terms of, making up for it, they kept giving him max extensions every 2 years.
Right.
And I'm glad, he stayed 20 years with the same franchise. But during that time between the 5th championship and, when he retires, those 6 years, I was hoping at least in 2014, 2015, that, he would leave, but he signed that in 2015, he signed a 2-year extension. And I was just like, I get it. And then at that point, I really, okay, these next 2 years is it. And I knew he was going to retire. But I didn't know how much the game would miss him. And then once he did retire, it was like now LeBron's always been the face of the NBA the last like 10 years or so. But now it's like LeBron's greatness was on full display without anyone to share it with.
Right.
At that point, KD wasn't a champion yet.
Right.
So it was LeBron, and I liked once he retired how he passed the torch to LeBron and just gave him all the jewels. And LeBron has carried it, and it is so dope, man. So that's why when I see, I think that's why I'm a fan. I'm a fan of LeBron now is because I see some of the things that Kobe taught him and gave him how he's implemented. It's so dope.
Right, right. And the thing, and this is another thing, another reason why I don't compare LeBron to MJ, because he doesn't. LeBron, his basketballs, his IQ is there. He's gonna make the right basketball play. I mean, if a guy's open, he's gonna pass him the ball. But MJ and Kobe never shot away from that jump shot, making that jump. I'm gonna find my sweet spot, whether it's in the mid range. They're always in the mid range, somewhere around that point, and I'm gonna knock it down. And if I make it, I make it. If I don't, I mean, if I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. I'm still gonna take that shot. And that's the mentality that they both had, that they both shared, and that's why I was like, okay, when it comes to Kobe, like Kobe's more like MJ, LeBron's more. He's just a hybrid of a mixture of different type of players. You know what I mean? And when it comes to Kobe Bryant, his impact in California itself, we had Coach on here yesterday. Like I feel like he birthed all those NBA players from Cali. Like all of them are Kobe fans. You know what I mean? From the James Harden, from the Russell Westbrooks, the close. If he had a jump shot, like he'll be the Kobe Bryant of this era, but he doesn't have that jump shot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Kobe's impact, man, in the NBA in California itself was definitely huge, man.
Yeah, man. This guy, P, like the in-game dunks, the 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 multiple shot fakes to get you to pivot off one foot. It was masterful to see. And you can just tell, like, there's just so many stories. Like I was, I listened to Jason Williams, former Duke point guard drafted to Chicago Bulls. He tells a story about, in his the first or second year, how he went to LA. The Bulls were playing Chicago. He decided to go to shoot around a little earlier in the day, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So when he got there, he saw Kobe on the other end, working out with his managers or whatever. He was getting his shots up. Said Kobe was in a full sweat. So he said, Kobe had to probably be there an hour before he got there, like to do his workout. So he says he goes through his workout for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour and a half or whatever. So, he said he's in full sweat. I mean, he got his shots in, he worked on the shots on the floor. So he says when he goes back to sit down to take off his sneakers and get ready to bounce, he looks down the court. Kobe's still there working. Not only was he working out an hour before Jason got there, worked out the hour while Jason was Jay Will was there, and was still working out when Jay Will was done. And Jay Will says he talked to him after the game, and he asked him why he worked out so hard prior to a game. And he said he still went out there and put up like 30 points that same night. So because he was just like, how do you do that? And Kobe was like, I saw you down there working. And I want to let you know before the game that you're not going to outwork me.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I was blown away, Pete. I was like, Jay Will was like, I was in shock. I knew he was on a different level and that I wasn't there yet.
Bro, it's just levels to this games, man. And you don't just get into that GOAT conversation just being average or just, showing up and just being in the NBA locker room. Like you really have to put in the work, time and effort and sacrifice. And then you're going to lose a lot. You're going to lose, friends along the ways, relationship, whatever the case is, because you're so locked into trying to be great. I mean, there's a reason why we have the Muhammad Ali's, greatest of all time, the MJs, the Kobe's, because these guys was relentless at their craft. I mean, like they wasn't going, and I think we spoke about it in, other episodes, how some cats get to the, the top of their professions and just, flat out I'm just happy to be here. Now these cats wasn't feeling that way, or they was locked in on greatness. I mean, they was locked in on greatness, man. But man, Kobe, man. What's your favorite Kobe moment, man?
Oh man. Oh man. Favorite Kobe moment was the 81. 81 not against
81?
81 against Toronto, man. Against Toronto. Because that was different.
That season was different.
That was different. He was on a he was in a pure zone. I've never seen that. He was in a pure zone, bro. Like putting up shots. Like, I was reading something earlier. Phil Jackson was like, I've seen some amazing games with some amazing players, but he said that night was just different. And the same thing with Jalen Rose. He said, he's told the stories like we had a great game plan. we felt like we had a winning game plan going into the game.
Right.
But he said like this was just different because this man wasn't saying anything. He was working all of us. And he was like, it was just masterful to see. It was like a wizard, like just getting to your spots. He was anticipating double teams, anticipating triple teams, and still getting his shot off. And it was just like, I want to do that. I want to go out tomorrow at Derby, and I want to do that. I want to go to college and do that. And that's what it was. I used to go to school with his jersey under my shirts. Only as that may sound, we used to go to the gym. I used to have my t-shirt on with a Kobe jersey under it. You know what I mean? I would take off my t-shirt when it was time to hoop. This is coming off. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. Like it was deep, man. But the one thing I wouldn't do was buy those Kobe Adidas joints. I was all set.
You didn't want the Adidas now?
I was all set. Like, that's the only thing I was upset about him was like, why you sign with Adidas, bro? Like I can't be out here looking like this, bro. I can't be out here with these on the feet.
Oh man. I mean the Crazy 8s were dope though. Those are the only Adidas that I would rock. I mean, I don't ever rock Adidas, but his first joints was crazy. But my favorite Kobe moment, bro, and it's it's funny because it was when he beat the Celtics. Like that joy, because I mean, you and I wasn't. I mean, I was born in '86, so the Lakers and the Celtics met up that same year. But I felt like out of all his championships, like he was excited to win those. Like he was like, yo, I need to win this. I need this Lakers, Celtics championship, there's this finals to go in my legacy. Like it's so crazy. Like how is that even possible? The Celtics haven't played each other in the finals since '86, and then obviously they played in '08, they lost, and they go back and then play again. Like it had to be in Kobe's book. Like he had to be writing this somewhere from heaven, making sure that this happened. Like he was like, yo, God, help me out. I just want to get a championship ring by beating, the Celtics. But just seeing that joy, like it was just like, yo, he really put in that work. And I was just sitting back. I was like, yo, this guy's, because he was making ridiculous shots.
That was my favorite championship.
Like
that was my favorite championship,
bro. He was going off. Like he was making shots. I was mad. I remember we was at the bar. He was the only guy with the Lakers jersey on. Oh, excited.
Favorite championship.
I'm like, what the hell? How's he making this?
Favorite championship.
Like listen, I mean, that guy, man. I mean, Kobe was amazing, man. Kobe was amazing. That's why, like I said, you have to mention this man. You can't skip over his name. You can't forget about his. I mean, obviously the NBA is doing a good job, and a lot of people is, is patenting his game, their game, from Kobe's. I mean, i.e. Jason Tatum. Like his game, his footwork, it's Kobe like.
Yeah, man. Dude, like there was only a few people that I know that were diehard Kobe fans like me. There's only a few of us
I
in the
didn't like
Boston
you.
area. It was only a few of
I
us that
didn't
we.
like you,
So,
bro. I didn't
so
like
it was
you.
it was wild. It was me, JJ.
Yeah,
Jay was a big fan.
JJ was a hard Kobe fan. He was a
Yeah,
hard
so
Kobe
yeah,
fan.
yep. So me and him vibed on that. Rondell was a Kobe fan.
I didn't understand that.
But
But
it was just like, for some reason, we just couldn't get everyone to convert. It wasn't even convert. It's like, yo, y'all don't see this? How are y'all Paul Piercing it if y'all seeing this man play? How are y'all Paul Pierce fans?
I wasn't even a Paul Pierce
I
fan.
mean, how? I just didn't get it, man. It was just like, yo, he's for us. He's for the culture. This is who we should this is who we should get behind, bro.
Because it was hard, D. It was like it was a lot of good plays in that era, and that's another reason why I respect Kobe, because he beat a lot of cats' ass. Because there was a lot of tough twos during that era. Like you had your Tracy McGrady. Tracy wasn't a slouch. You had your Vince Carter. You had your Allen Iverson. You had your Allen Houston in New York. You had, Reggie Miller was still running screens. Richard Hamilton. Like you had a lot of tools that was going at this guy, but he was still at the top. At one point, I was like, "Yo, Tracy's catching him. Tracy's catching him." But again, obviously Tracy got hurt, but you can still see Kobe ascending and going to Super Saiyan levels. I'm like, what the fuck? How is he still so good?
Even as his physical attributes started to deteriorate. I mean, the guy was just a wizard in getting to his shot, getting to his spot, and it just became a mental game for him. Getting to your spot, understanding the matchups, and just being comfortable with it. When you're 10, 15 years in and you put in thousands of shots in practice and shooting around, like the game doesn't become hard to you. I mean, you definitely, it takes a toll on your body, but you know how to play the game. And I think that was such an advantage for him that he used all the time, knew how to play the game. So like once Phil left, I saw all, you can see he couldn't do both. Like he couldn't be the on the floor coach and be that superstar. He tried, but it was just I thought it was just too much. But then again, he did get 2 championships, but there was room for more that I wanted, that I know he wanted, and all us Kobe fans wanted, that just didn't come to fruition. It broke our hearts, man. It did. It broke our hearts, man. I know, sounds sad, and I am sad because we did lose him too young, man, and the fact that it's been a year, because man, like I remember, like I think I got a text or a call before I saw it on the news, and I'm just like,
right.
I think it was Jason or somebody. I forgot. I don't know what, but somebody called me and was like, "Yo, your man just died." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Man, Kobe died. I'm like, "Nah, yeah, I'm good. Stop playing with me." I just hung up the phone. I was like, "Nah, this is whack. This is cool." Wait, I think I was just busy doing whatever I was doing, and I finally turned on the TV, and it was on the TV, and it was on Instagram. It was just everywhere. I'm just like,
right.
No way.
It was crazy because I remember when I was driving and my grandmother called me from New York. My grandmother, she calls me. Did you hear about what happened? I'm like, oh, what? She was like, Kobe Bryant died. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, this can't be true. And then I remember asking her, because he was obviously close with Gigi. That was Ace, and he would take her, fly her, to her games and practices. And I'm like, was his daughter with him? And she's like, oh, I don't know. And then I'm like, damn, I hope that she's not with him, because that would have made it even worse. Yeah. I mean, we're losing the Bean, and we don't. I was praying and hoping that he didn't, lose his daughter, because we know the LA traffic and all the other stuff. So he loved to get on his helicopter, make it to practice and back or whatever. And I'm like, damn, hope to, his daughter wasn't with her. And then throughout, the day, they was giving out more information about the crash and all that stuff. And it was like, damn, it was confirmed that she was in there and some other passengers. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And it's crazy to me because like I mean, if you follow, if you have social media and all that stuff, you've seen Gigi play and the game was smooth just like him.
Mhm.
Her game was smooth just like him. I'm like, this is not real. This is not
committed. She was already committed to UConn.
to UConn. Like, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy, man. But I think we just, we lost him young, and I feel like yeah, his impact I think it's gonna be one of those impacts that's gonna be felt for forever, man. Like, and that's yeah,
Right. Even off the court, man, he never turned off the switch, man. He was just going extra hard now. He just
at
had a different
everything, at
game.
everything.
He won the Oscar for the little short film that he made, the basketball short film, why he fell in love with basketball for kids. Like, that's amazing. He had he was one of the leaders in I think he had a venture capital group that had hit big too, like in their investments, and they were making like over hundreds of millions. I don't have the exact thing, but he was just going extra hard, man. And then,
Didn't he build the his facility out in Cali?
yeah, the Mamba, yep, Mamba
Yeah.
Academy or something like that.
Mamba
Yeah.
Academy, yep.
So I mean, he would house AAU tournaments. He was just there, man. And like, throughout the league, you could hear stories of current NBA players and ex NBA players, just saying how close he was with some of their kids.
Right.
Like, it was wild. Like, Shaq's son Sharif,
Mm-hmm.
like, they were close. Like, he was one of the last people like to talk to him or like to have like a text exchange like the same morning or the day before or something. Matt Barnes talks about how he always asks about his kids and what's going on. And like, it was just so dope, man, to hear how much the league ex players and current players really loved him, and how like, the young players, the young stars now, how much they looked up to him. Like Trae Young, he said that shit broke his heart.
Right. Because I think Gigi was his favorite player.
It was wild, yeah. Like, so like it was just like, man, like why 2020? Why?
Yeah, it was tough, man. But I want to definitely piggyback what you just said and how off the court he never turned it off, because you can even see it in his parenting and being a husband. Like, he was going full throttle. Like, he was just like, yo, I'm gonna be the best dad, best husband, because you would see his family. Like, he was like indulged into his family. Like, he made sure, like, okay, I gave you guys, I put you guys in the back burner for, my career. Now it's my turn to be there, drop you guys off in school, pick you guys up, and then be a father and be a husband. And you can just see that because, like I said, everywhere you see him, you see his kids, you see his wife, and it was just so dope, man.
And he had just had a baby. He just had little Capri.
Yeah.
Just had it. She was, oh man. And his wife Vanessa, man, I just feel for her, bro. But like, I do feel good about how the NBA and basketball community and media community, kind of have like wrapped their rounds around that family. And in the Laker organization, like, just wrap their arms around that family and are just being, a constant support system, man. And I think that's a great lesson for all of us because, when we do go, when our name is called and our day does come, it speaks a lot to what people do, once you are gone and how they remember you. And for for the basketball community and all the all his other networks to just basically say, we're going to take care of your family.
Right.
Ooh, that's powerful.
No,
There's not many of us that leave that type of impact on people, where once we go, our friends or people that we work with say like, yo, I'm gonna look out.
I got you. Now it's all about And that's why I said yesterday, it's all about being intentional when it comes to, relationships. You know what I mean, making sure that, you are going full throttle when it comes to, friends, not half-assing people, not just being a solid individual. You know what I mean? And I feel like Kobe Bryant was just that with the people around him, and that's why everybody around him are being, so super supportive to Vanessa and the kids. I mean, because he was just a solid individual. I mean, and it's like you can't really, if someone is a straight shooter, you really can't be mad at that. It's either you accept it or just like, all right, And I feel like Kobe Bryant was just that with everybody.
Yeah, man, it's just amazing, man. And I just want to go through just a lot of his accomplishments. I think it's only right that we shout these out. So for those who don't know, who's not a Kobe fan, you're about to get a nice little education. Drafted 13th overall in 1996 NBA draft, 5-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, 2-time NBA scoring champion, 12-time All NBA defensive team. On top of that, he's only one of 4 players to receive All NBA defensive team 9 times, 9 or more times. One of 4 ever in the history of the NBA. 15-time All NBA team. And he's, again, on top of that, he's one of 4 players to do that, to be named to 15 All NBA teams. And remember, he played 15 seasons. So to be, pretty much named, one of the best 5 or 6 for 15 straight for over 15 years is an amazing accomplishment.
All right.
18-time All-Star. 18-time All-Star. 18-time All-Star. He had 8 All-Star appearances in the jersey number 8 before he switched to number 24, where he had 10 All-Star appearances wearing number 24. The 2008 NBA MVP, and I'm gonna have to get into this at some point because Steve Nash robbed the writers. NBA writers gave Steve Nash in 2007, 2006, 2007, I believe, back-to-back MVPs. Like, whoa! Like,
I don't think about back-to-back. I don't. To be honest, I don't even think he deserves an MVP because I think the year before Shaq was dominating and the year after Kobe went crazy. That was the 81 season.
Wow, this is, oh man, like, yeah, so he definitely should have more MVPs, and that's an argument I will have with anyone. He should at least have 3. The youngest player to ever start an NBA game. Youngest player ever. Youngest player to start an All-Star game.
He was 19.
19. Start an All-Star game. Now, since Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points, no one has ever eclipsed 70. This man had 81. 81. So he had the most points in the modern era in a game since Wilt Chamberlain. MJ didn't do it. Bird didn't do it. Julius Erving didn't do it.
Now Magic.
Isaiah Thomas didn't do it. Like, out of this world. I
think Allen Iverson's high is what, 63 maybe?
Maybe. So
he's not 80.
And that's a tough class. Like I like that's no slouch. 60 is no slouch. 40 is no slouch. But to get 80, they score 80. They score 80 points in NBA halves now. It's wild. He scored the most points at the Staples Center, more than any other player. 16,161 points. Youngest player to ever reach 33,000 points. He was 37 years old. Youngest player.
Wow.
People forget. Yes, he played 20 seasons. So you know what that means? He played in 3 decades. The 90s, the 2000s and 2010s. It's 3 generations of NBA players that he got to play against, and he was considered one of the best in each decade. How many players else are doing that?
Man, it's a long ass list, bro.
Right? Hey,
You're not done?
not done, bro. like he brought the smoke, man. He brought the smoke, bro. Like it was on. It's like literally. It's just like whoa. I mean, like it was just baffling, man. And just to cap it off, man, just know how special he is. The only player to have both of his jerseys, two jerseys retired.
Yeah,
8
never
and
seen
24.
that. Never seen that.
MJ ain't got his 45 jersey retired.
I think he only played 3 games with that 45 jersey. Didn't do too good either. He had to go back to 23.
I think he played half the season with the 45. But man, yeah, man. So we just,
No, we definitely have to, come out with the Mamba Edition show. Some love to the Bean, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have to do this. DB, you want to leave the people,
Yeah. One of the biggest takeaways that I take away that I want, that I've benefited from, from Kobe Bryant, number 8, number 24, 5-time NBA champion.
Right. You don't have to go into the accolades and all that stuff.
2-time, NBA Finals MVP, 2-time scoring champion, all the accolades, man. But just two things, man. And he, one thing he repeatedly said is like it's always too late because we think we have time. What are we waiting for? What are you waiting for? And I think one of his most famous lines is he's like, I can't relate to lazy people. And that's just something that I've just had to adopt, and one of the things I use to hold myself accountable. So he's left an amazing legacy, a tremendous impact on me and others. And the fact that it just sucks not to have him here. I didn't know him personally, but I just cared for him as a player. It was just so much. His impact was that deep on just my maturation as an athlete. So that's why I hold him near and dear to my heart. And I hope people are able to not only appreciate him, but appreciate your heroes, appreciate your favorite players, while we have them, because their careers come to an end.
Right. Now, one of my biggest takeaway from Kobe is just being fearless, man. Just being fearless and making sure that you take your shots. If you don't take your shots, you don't know if you're gonna make or miss them. You know what I mean? So just go out there, take your shot, and just be fearless, and don't let even fear just stop you from taking a shot. Just go at it, man. Just take that shot, be the best version of yourself every single day, man. And that's one thing I definitely took from Kobe, man. And definitely salute, man. And
Bean, and salute. The Lakers definitely won the championship for him, man. So I was just happy I was ecstatic, LJ and AD and Rondo and KCP and Kuzma and all these cats, Caruso and Dwight and JaVale. They really locked in, and I'm glad they brought a championship to that city, a championship to the Lakers organization, Lakers fans, but just Kobe fans, Kobe enthusiasts, man. Like that meant a lot. That really meant a lot.
Definitely.
But we thank y'all for for
locking in with us,
for locking in. Please stay tuned. Definitely stay tuned for more episodes. We just dropped another one today. Coach of the Year. Go check that out right now. That's on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple Podcasts. You can find us on YouTube at Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast on our YouTube channel. Lock in with us on our IG at Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast on IG. You can find us on Facebook at Talk Your Ish. sports podcast. It's just lit on all our levels, man.
We're on fire right now.
And we're really trying to build, man. And we just thank everyone for all the support, the comments, the shares. We encourage more current and foreign athletes, trainers, coaches to really link with us, man, because this is a growing thing, man. And your journeys matter. Your journeys matter. What you've been through is an inspiration to others. And we just want to keep all those lessons, keep all those gems, those jewels, those diamonds. We want to keep that circulating in the sports community, man, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, soccer, golf, whatever it is, whatever your journey is, come lock in with us.
Right, lock in, man. This is your platform.
We here and we out, man. But thank y'all so much, man.